online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your number one source in after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey everyone, welcome to another AfterBuzz TV for So You Think You Can Dance Season 11. We are down to the top 6, going down to top 4. I'm Kristyn Burtt, and welcome back. I have my co-host, Chloe West with me.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Your hair is very Jessica-like today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was inspired by her disco.
The disco. Back for his third visit, and as I said before, so appreciated, choreographer Spencer Liff.
Hey, how are you?
Yay, we're so happy you're here. I think you're the busiest man in showbiz after hearing about your day.
I wish, but I love it. I love every second.
Yes, you're choreographing like all over the city and on the East Coast and everywhere else. So thank you for joining us and taking the time out. Sure appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Just a quick congratulations to Nappy Tabs on their Emmy win this week.
Yeah.
Woo. And I'm not really sure what it's going to take for Kat Deely to win. I mean, seriously.
She's the best at what she does.
She is the best.
Do you know what I said the problem is? She makes it look so easy. It looks like she's doing nothing, and I think that they think, oh, she's just, calming the contestants. And
I know. If you saw her in dress rehearsal and see how hands-on she is and how aware she is of what's happening, and she has an opinion, and the producers and her work together, and she'll be like, this doesn't seem right, and I want to do it this way, and I want to do this, and then she puts on the charm. Not that it's an act, but she does it so well.
Yeah, I feel like no one else does that as well as she does, and in a live TV format.
I know.
I mean, Tom Bergeron is the only other person I think who can do it like that.
And he has his Emmy, and he wanted her to win too. I saw his tweets and everything else, and I said on Emmys night last Saturday for the Creative Arts Emmys, I'm like, I'm going to go downtown, I'm going to steal an Emmy, and I'm going to go give it to her because that's how much I think she deserves it. All right, let's get down to it because there's so much. This was a jam-packed night of dance. They all had 3 or 4 numbers, including the opening number.
Yeah.
So let's get to that opening number by Nick DeMora, who was also Justin Bieber's choreographer. God bless him.
I was glad to see him finally choreograph something after having them sort of do the whole group numbers that were coming on. And so I was glad to see, something that he could do. Because I haven't been to a Justin Bieber concert, so I don't know.
You're not Biebs' demographic.
No, I'm not.
What did you see in studio since you were there last night?
We actually don't get to see the group numbers. They shoot them at 6 in the morning on show day before we get there because the costume and hair and makeup is just too much.
So elaborate.
So we normally roll in about 8:30 right when they're wrapping up. But we watch it live, we watch them play it for you on the tape in the live show.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know Nick and I love him, and I think he did a really good job with 6 people, none of which are hip hop dancers. So
I noticed that.
point.
they all looked
that.
really well. He didn't have a ringer in there to do his style, and they all look great. So
yeah, that's a really good point. And you know what I did like, and I appreciated this? We've had a lot of the group numbers where it's like Ricky front and center, and everyone kind of looked, I was like, oh, I think that's Jessica. Oh, I think that's Valerie. I love that everyone was kind of uniform, and it wasn't just the Ricky show. And we love Ricky, but I feel like it's got to be hard to be some of the other contestants like, I'm here too.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm dancing.
Are you kidding me? But I had that same thought too of I'm kind of glad they're half masked because it was a little bit harder to see who was who, and so you were just really watching the whole picture.
Yeah, which I think was nice. It was fun. Our judges this week, as she loves to say, Nigel, Mary, and Christina Applegate's back, whom we all adore. But I'm just going to throw us right into it because there's so many dances, and the first number was yours with Valerie and Ricky, and I got to tell you, to me, this rings of finale piece that they'll bring it back. Do you think?
It was so funny that it was perfect for them. I don't think I would have made it as cute and sweet for another couple, but at this point you take what you have and you do the very best thing for them, and I wanted them, they can exude that joy like no one else left on the show. So it ended up so much more cotton candy than I would have ever done or that you've ever seen me do or will ever do again. But I really did like it. You get such a short amount of time to use the prop. You rehearse in the studio. And so a lot of the ideas I had that I wanted to use for the swing just did not work. It was hung all the way from the ceiling, so it was so wobbly. And we ended up having to change so much stuff last second. And then in Dress Run, as you saw, the first time she got on it with her dress, I almost had a heart attack. Thank God they played it and it was funny. And it was the only time I've ever seen them stop Dress Run. They just, normally they're like, keep going, like, what would you do? But the producer stopped and we cut layers out of her crinoline and we took the sticky, we had like a layer of like skateboard stick on the swing so that it wasn't slippery for her, but we had to take that off. And then they got through it and it was lovely and fine and risky, and I was really happy with how they did it.
Were you nervous watching?
I held my breath
show?
for a minute and 45 seconds. They cut to me after the end. I'm surprised I wasn't passed out, just because like everything could go wrong. I don't know why I do that to myself with my props, but like if there's not something that could go horribly wrong, it's just not fun for me.
I like to take risks. I mean, that leap through the swing was like perfection.
It was gorgeous. Well, her skirt even like bumped the swing so it didn't swing perfectly back, and Ricky still managed to like weave through a swinging like piece of this big and like whack a huge jump. So that's him.
He really is. I mean, he's unlike any dancer I think we've seen on the show. I mean, we've had plenty of technicians, plenty of performers, but I just feel like we see him in all these different styles, and even if he doesn't like nail it 110%, I still feel like he nailed it 100%.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
No, he does nail everything. I had a really fun time working with them. They have such good off-camera chemistry. They're friends. They've been in this.
Sweet.
So like they have a shorthand. They really know how to work with each other, and I felt like we were a team this week, just trying to, once you get a little later in the season and you've worked with them all and you know them all, there's less that like teacher-student thing, and you're like, we are in this together. You're my team this week. Like, let's do it.
That's awesome.
So cool. What's it like to choreograph for Ricky? Are you just like, okay, jump through a swing?
No, I'm like, let me see this, let me see that, let me see, and then I just try to tweak his lines so that they don't look too contemporary. I'm like, you can't do your big right leg, like you can't. I've seen it.
Beyond 180. He's so killer.
So Valerie's like, no, do you have a right leg? Like, have I? I don't feel like I've seen that from you. But yeah, so he's a copycat too, and he can really look. And like, when they can dance and do your steps right away, then you can tweak hands and little things and just take them to the extra level. But what I didn't have to do with them at all was work on their performance or chemistry. They brought that to the table, and you can't teach that in the few hours that we get. They either have it or they don't. And Christina said at the end, she's like, you had the swing in the beginning of that, just the pure elegance of that.
The joy.
I banked on that moment and that shot of just like loving that and falling in love with that immediately. And
Valerie's so stinking cute. It's like,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
She
and
just
her
radiates.
Family. You're like, no wonder.
Yeah, you saw the brothers and everything, and I was like, it's genetic. Let's go right into that Doriana Sanchez disco with Jessica and Casey. Doriana Sanchez always 1,000 like spins as fast as you can, but I feel like this was jam-packed with content, and I don't know how they pulled it off, and I thought it was fun to watch.
Oh my God, it was so fun. I want to be there. Doriana Sanchez, like, where can I take your class? Like, are you kidding me? That was so rad. Like, I just want to be in that disco ball. I have nothing else to say. Like, that's all I have to say about that dance because it was so fun.
Spencer, tell us what you thought in studio, because it was different. You thought it was different from watching on TV.
No, I said they actually spun faster than what it looked like on TV. I have never seen, and I've seen all the discos live over the past 6 years. Like, that was the hardest one, and I think the best one. I enjoyed it the most. I've never seen Casey spin faster. He's a turner anyway, so it's like, put a girl on him and spin him around. And even Jessica said, I was talking to her today, she was like, he went off like Showdown. He just went faster than he ever had. She like thought she was gonna fly off him and across the stage.
And she's still dealing with their shoulder issues.
Yeah.
You see the tape, but I think last week we had Mackenzie and Jasmine here last week, and they were both talking a little bit about it. Like, she's doing all of these lifts, and so that's tough to go for.
You can't you can't modify. You can't walk in the room and say to your choreographer, so I can't do this and I can't do this and I can't do this. Like, they just have to do it now.
Oh my gosh.
And when you get Doriana Sanchez, where it's going to be 800 lifts. Good luck.
But they did so good. I mean, I really loved it. It was joyous and they nailed it.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, and I actually feel like when we see disco on the show, it's almost like, oh no, someone got a disco. You know, like nobody ever really gets it. And that was just so fun.
So much fun. I just wanted to put on like my little Halston dress and go to Studio 54.
Yeah.
Do some disco. We go into the solos. Ricky, start off the solos.
Flawless. I mean, I don't know.
Just like, what would I mean, boom, boom. It really was. I was like, and there's your winner. Like, I didn't know what else to say at that point. He was so just good. He's at this point where it's like, you know, he hasn't missed, but I've seen growth out of him. And I think that that's so important, not just like I started up here and then I plateaued. Like, I have seen growth from him, and that solo alone proved it to me.
Yeah, I'm so glad we were getting to see everybody's solos tonight, because it's always just a nice reminder. And I mean, Ricky, I don't know what to say. He's
I know.
flawless.
When you get him in studio, you're just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, he could do everything you ask. So I mean, it's insane. Like, everybody looks at each other when that finished, and you're like, I don't understand. Like, I'm a good dancer. I don't even understand what those things are. Like, you know, but I will say, it doesn't mean he's gonna win the show.
No,
Like,
it's favorite dancer.
Everybody knows obviously, technically, he's a different level than everyone up there,
Yep.
but it means this top 4 that we have this next week, any one of them could take it.
Yeah, I
Any
agree.
one of them. They've all pulled the highest votes. They've all had their big numbers. Like, I would not be shocked with any. So.
And you've got 2. Valerie is another one who has not been in the bottom, if I'm correct.
Yeah, she
Valerie and
hasn't.
Ricky. So it could come down to them, or, you know, you just never know. Or, you know, we've got Zach, who I feel like is peaking at the right time, and you've got Jessica as
Totally.
well, who's got a ton of support. And we've seen that. You know, I think everyone always thought Travis Wall was going to win. He didn't win. So
There's lots of those,
just
like, last
never
second
know.
surprises.
Yep. It could be that year. You just don't know. All right, we move into Zach and Jackie, Foxtrot, and I love Jean-Marc General.
The French director, Jean-Marc.
Crazy pants.
He comes on the screen and I just start laughing because he's so much fun.
It's funny. The rest of us are like, I can barely get myself out of bed and get my dance together, and you show up with like props and a theme for your package. It's like, when did you draw that thing? Like, how do you? We're like, I can't even. It's just like a.
Yeah, did he draw that? Like,
Yeah, he drew it himself. That's what I'm like.
He did?
Yeah, he did. He like fully thinks out like what he wants to do for his package. He brings in a whole thing's not for his dance, but just for like his package.
I love him.
Like, how do you even get that on? You know, like.
We need to get him in studio
I
at some
just
point.
imagine
he'd be a
him
blast.
giggling and drawing at night, like it's 3 a.m. He's like, "Oh, I gotta finish this drawing. It's gonna be so funny in the package." I love that. Oh my god, I love that.
That's amazing. All right, let's talk about this Foxtrot, because I feel like the feedback for them was
Harsh.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought that their side-by-side work was really nice. Maybe they had a harder time when they were in closed hold, but it didn't feel like it was as bad
Nope.
as they made it sound.
All they did was they didn't give them the normal credit for trying. And for, like, you know, some of that, and maybe it's because we're down to the end, but if you compare it to some of the other ballrooms that have fallen short this season, you tried so hard, you were great up there. That was like, they didn't give them any of that. And they really did bust their butts on that one to pull it up, because they knew their other 2 pieces were strong, and they didn't blow it off. So I was mad that they didn't give them that. Neither one of them have ever done Foxtrot before, but
Sometimes I think they do that when it gets down to the bottom like this, because they know, especially after watching dress rehearsal, like, oh, there are no other bad you know, like, we need to
for
be
sure.
tough with one dance. So, I mean, it was a little mechanical, but it wasn't like it
We've
was
seen
totally-
far
on
worse on the show.
another episode in 2-3 weeks ago, that would have totally gotten slid by with good remarks. It just
Yeah.
wasn't the night for that.
Right.
So frustrating. When you get a comment like that, I mean, what is Jean-Marc feeling at that moment? Because I'm sure you feel for your dancers. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's your piece.
We've all been there.
You've all been there. I mean,
Gut wrenching. No one will ever know what it's like to have worked your butt off for a week and given everything and had people trust you, and you have to sit there and fail. Feel like you failed, be told that you're failed, and then have your peers around you and have your dancers up there looking at you in your eyes, and you're like, I'm sorry. Like, it is the worst. It's so bad.
it's so hard. And they call out the
Jean-Marc was-
choreographers as much
I
as
know,
they call
we
out
get-
the dancers.
You know, we get thrown on the bus as well sometimes, and you know, you never know all the pieces and the reasons, and you try really hard and you do your best for them. So Jean-Marc, I know, was disappointed for them because he knew how hard they worked. You know, if you see where they're at the beginning of your session, and then where you get with them sometimes too, you're like, well, judge that. Like, that's what
Yeah.
you do on Dancing with the Stars. You judge from where they started. There's, like, this curved thing. But, like, anyway.
We don't get the journey.
No, you don't get to,
And-
you get to see 2 seconds of the package in the video, and you don't really know if they really sucked, that they got really good. Like, they got okay by the end. But
Yeah, and that's what we've lost when we lost the results show and everything else. And even getting to know the contestants. And this kind of fits nicely into Jessica's solo, because you did see the parents doing the package like right before they did their solos. And Jessica obviously was listening to what was happening. And I mean, she was emotional. And I thought that was, it's got to be hard. You got to either get yourself together or work with that emotion and just go through it. But you saw her; it definitely affected her.
Oh yeah, I loved her song choice. I don't know if you guys watched American Idol, but remember when Tamira Gray said "You're gonna love me" first season?
Yes.
I felt like that was Jessica's moment here. It was like, and I was here, like she's like taking it for herself, and I loved it. It was just like really nice, like just a really great way for her to sort of like settle in herself on the stage. I thought it was lovely.
What did you think about Nigel's comment? He said, like, we know you can turn.
Like, say that to Casey. That's what I've been, you know what I mean? I mean, Casey's a great turner, but I felt like maybe because he's seen other things from Jessica and they haven't seen other things from Casey, but I would have said that same thing to Casey, not to Jessica.
I think that comment came out of, that was truly constructive criticism. I think he was like, if you're here next week, you need to do more than turning. Like, I don't think that was a dig. I think it was like, let me help you out here.
Oh, okay, that's good.
That would be my place with it.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Because, sometimes Nigel says things and you're like, whoa, wait, what?
There was a couple last night.
Yeah, they won't get to
Well,
that one, but yeah, the last one that we'll get to it. But it was just one of those that I was like, I'm glad that he ran over to the mic and was like, and thrilled, not just shocked.
Yes.
Oh, ow. All right, then we get into Valerie and Twitch. Hip hop, wildebeest choreographing. And I want to say this about Valerie. 2 weeks ago, I thought, stick a fork in her, she's done, when she didn't have that great piece with the day. And I thought that she would just be done and she was out and then she was safe and Tanisha went home, which I'm still reeling from. But, I just feel like that shook her up enough that, where it wasn't her best week and it wasn't her best piece. And even though she wasn't in the bottom, I think it allowed her to really step up. And I feel like the subsequent weeks have been great for her.
I didn't love this dance.
I knew the pause. I heard the pause.
I think it's because I was so excited about it going into it, and then I was like, I don't know. I didn't love it, but I think it was the dance actually, because it wasn't even one of those moments where I'm like sitting just watching Twitch being like, yeah, get it, Twitch. Look at how good Twitch is. This is so fun. I just wasn't really. I just didn't love it, and I loved the concept, and I loved the song, and I thought it was going to be so fun, but maybe it was just too hard for Valerie. I don't know. I don't know why. I was really upset though that I didn't like it.
Spencer.
I love the storytelling, and so I'll always I love when the hip hop goes for the story. It can easily not, and it can easily just be the moves, but he also banked on the strengths and knowing that Valerie can act and can pull off that character. And I think if it had just been choreo and just been a little harder hitting, as they say, I don't know what that means.
Down in the pocket.
But if she had to maybe pull off a little more of like a badass look, it would not have gone well for her. So I think it was smart on the choreographer's part. I think it was a smart number for them. I think that was the very best that she was going to do hip hop with Twitch.
Yes, I agree.
If you do all those factors, then I think that was the best result of that.
I felt it was pretty balanced too. Do you know? It's not like you said. It wasn't like it's the Twitch show or I can't stop looking at Twitch, that kind of thing. And he's good about not overshadowing the contestants, but I feel like she's done better than some of the other contestants that have worked with Twitch.
3 girls in a row have worked with Twitch.
Yeah, it was Jackie.
Jackie had him last week.
And Jessica.
And Jessica the
I
week
thought
before.
Jessica did great with him. Jessica was probably the best out of the 3, and poor Jackie, I watched Twitch the whole time for that one. So
Yeah, and we didn't agree on that because I actually liked her with Twitch. So beauty of art, it is all subjective. And then into Casey's solo. Do you have any notes on his turning?
His best solo. This was his best solo, actually. I was like, he had the turns in the beginning, but then he really brought something else to it, and I was really proud for Casey. I was like, that was your best solo. I'm so proud of you.
No, you worked with Casey. Was it last week? Or
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Casey. I've had all the boys now. Casey, Zach, and Ricky. Casey was a doll to work with. He is this very interesting person. He is too young to bring it in rehearsal. And it's funny, I got a piece of info passed on by choreographers that had him before, being like, he turns it on show day, like when it's showtime, he gives you everything. And for my numbers that are super acting based and I need to see choices and I need to be able to guide what choices you're making acting wise, I had no idea if he was going to give me a performance until we got to dress rehearsal. And I was like, oh, there's my dance. Because stepwise, you're doing everything I'm asking, dancing it flawlessly, but I needed that extra something. But I've now seen him live. I've seen him do it week after week now, where I just don't think he understands how to perform yet until it's go time, which not all choreographers need, but in our time frame, like, you need that. So that's what he has to work on going forward, because people aren't going to want to work with him in a room to hire him, because you need to see your final picture. He always nails it in the moment, which is it's just very interesting.
At an audition, like, you need to be nailing it.
But maybe do it in an audition. I think he's very aware of, like, what showtime. He has it all in there, but it's something that maybe just comes out in the moment, and he needs to work on being able to channel that all the time.
Yeah,
like as a rehearsal dancer person, because like his hip hop that he had with
Brooklyn.
No, with Comfort last week.
Oh, Comfort, yeah.
Like, he popped that up in the moment, but like that was he was struggling in performance until show night, and then the choreographers, I told them, I'm like, he'll give it to you in the night. They're like, we don't know. I'm like, and he did it, and you're like, there you go. Like, but anyway, those are my thoughts on Casey. That number, I couldn't have done that number with maybe this time with Catherine, and I loved that number this season. Probably my favorite one I did this year. I couldn't have done that with one of the other boys. It had to be him. It was meant for, like, it was all the right pieces, and so I'm glad I had that moment with him.
That's such an interesting note, because you really then have to, that's really interesting to think that, like, it has to be 100% in rehearsal all the time.
And we heard from, when Mandy was here, just the fact that they're not asking the choreographers as much about what's happening in the rehearsal space like they were in prior seasons. And, also there's no saves in the top 10. So, the feedback is, but she did say, she goes, all the choreographers talk. So
we do. Well,
but
we give
important.
each other tips. It's like you have somebody next week, or you're like, hey, you had them 2 weeks ago. What was the deal with this or this? Or I'm getting this vibe. Is that
What do you guys say about Zach? Because I feel like we've heard such good things.
He's my favorite.
We've heard that from everyone. Everyone that has walked through here has said that.
I'm not allowed to say that.
And I feel like you see it in his packages with Sonia. She'll be like, "Oh my God, yes!" She really tells
when
the camera.
like Sonia's like over the top, you go, "That's something." I mean, you know what I mean?
I don't know what it is. He's real and like down, and he works so hard, and he's like a cool kid, and it's fun. He's like the oldest now. I think he's 21, maybe. He's like
he's a grandpa.
Grandpa of the competition. He got my style. He danced my number like I would have, and that was because he watched it and he danced it like me, and I got exactly what I wanted out of him. And he like has this cool factor, and he dances like a guy, and he just has everything I like in a male dancer. And he's a cool guy, and he works his butt off.
And he, with his tap, I was like, this is easily, when you had him, it was last week, this is easily, we could see him on Broadway at any moment.
Completely. Put him in Newsies now. Put him in here. I could book him in any show. So
too bad Newsies is closing on Sunday.
They're going on tour. But,
we'll send him the national tour.
He's too old for Newsies now, sadly. But yeah, I adore me some Zach. I was so, we're not allowed to have favorites, but I was really happy that he ended up in the finale.
Me too.
Yes, and I got to tell you, like, everyone, Mandy raved about him. We've had the All-Stars through here, and every single person has raved.
Didn't they say last week? I think Jasmine and them said Zach does want to do Broadway.
Yeah,
I think
he
that's
does.
What
He said that to me too when I had him. He's like, I really want to be on Broadway. I'm glad I have you this week. Well, I had Mackenzie and Zach last week, and she loved working with him.
Yeah.
And they had a great moment.
I loved that dance.
That was great.
So great.
I liked that one.
I have one question, because Mackenzie said this when she was here last week. Did you request her to be an All-Star?
It was how that happened.
Can you do that?
Well, you do request your All-Stars. Like,
I didn't know that.
Our producer knows who we like, and I have my little list together of like, I love Catherine. I've had her many times, and Mackenzie was new. She was probably my favorite last season. Her and Jenna, I loved her.
Jenna's killer.
And I was supposed to have a boy All-Star for Michael Jackson week, and everything got shuffled around, and we couldn't find the right boy. And the producer just called me up like right before show, and he was like, "If you had a girl, who would it be?" I was like, Mackenzie. And so I had no idea. And then live on air, they get to the end, and it's like Zach and Mackenzie, and I wanted Zach, and then her picture popped up. And if you could have done a screenshot of my face, I was like, yes!
That's what she said. She goes, I found out on TV.
She found out on TV. I turned around and looked at her. She was sitting behind me, and I was like, what's it going to be like?
I just wanted to clear that up because I stuck in my head all week. I'm like, I need to remember to ask Spencer about that and sort of like finish off the story.
I did ask for her. I would ask for her over and over and over again.
I thought she was.
We'll get to her, but her feet.
I know. She's beautiful this week. All right, let's get into Valerie Solo. And this is where we learn that it runs in the family, all that personality.
Yeah.
Mom, dad, brothers. I mean, they had a whole little bit going on.
I was dying because I was like, she's mortified right now. Her brother's doing that. But
They were rehearsing like all afternoon, they're like, Fox is going to come through
oh my
here.
God.
It was really cute. Her solo, what a cute song. And I mean, I love that there's 2 tappers in the finale. I think that's awesome.
I missed her red tap shoes, I have to say that.
I know.
I just think they're a part of her personality now. I'm always like, where are the red taps? But that was just really, really fun, cute number, perfect for her. Before we move on, I just want to remind everyone, we only have a couple more weeks left, but iTunes, you can certainly download us, tell a friend, share, because our views have skyrocketed this season, and we so appreciate it. Rate us 5 stars. YouTube, of course, continue to give us all the comments. We certainly respond, and we thank you for all of your support. All right, now let's go into the second half of all the dances. Jackie and Will doing a Sean Cheeseman contemporary piece. I'll start with you, Chloe.
The ball was way cooler than I thought it was going to be. When you first saw that exercise ball, it was like, wait, that was really lame. And I was so impressed, and I loved the beginning when they, slid to each other and the ball was at their backs. And then just the work with the ball, and then I was very happy also when it left.
He did the perfect amount with it.
Yeah.
And at this stage in the competition, like you do, he did 4 really cool things and then sent it on its way. And I respected him for that. And it was beautiful, beautifully done.
Yeah, I just was trying to imagine, and maybe you could help me with this. How, was that a producer thing to be like, hey, can you use this huge ball? No, that's
never
definitely
usually
his
is.
choice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They might give you a song.
No, well, I think it probably came from the song.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wanted that song. And I think the balloon drop idea came first, and then they decided to use that at the beginning. But no, the producers do not love when we use props. Like, that's not their favorite thing.
Or Mandy Moore's
You always have to,
1,800 candles last season.
You always have to sort of beg for, can I have this, please?
Funny.
Or sand. Chris Scott.
That was
I love that
not
dance.
the sage-hand's favorite dance.
For sure.
And then they did it on tour, so they must have been sweeping at every venue.
Oh gosh, I loved that dance. But yeah, I thought this was. I thought it was really nice, and I'm glad it was like a sweet love story. I'm sort of glad that the contemporary numbers are leaning a little bit more towards that versus the heart pounding,
Death and cancer.
Sad. Yeah. So I liked that, and I thought Jackie did a good job. I was glad to see her do a contemporary piece. Bring her ballet training into that.
Well, especially where she exited, you want to make sure. I mean, you don't want to be like, the foxtrot was my last dance on the air, that kind of thing. So
she left on a good. Both her and Casey left on a high note.
Yeah, I think so too.
I thought that, and I was like, oh, I feel good for them because at least they can look back on that and be like, oh, phew.
I was also glad they did the eliminations at the end.
Oh my God, the worst has been the last 2 weeks when they're after their comments are and you are in the bottom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dramatic.
And if they have to dance after that, or if you're backstage and you're
And
oh
that
my
you
God,
got it.
I'm in the bottom. God, that's awful.
Process of elimination. It's awful. I don't know. I mean, I know that they try and create a little bit of drama for television, but it really... Sometimes I'm it just kind of breaks my heart. I'm like, come on, they're 18.
The worst was the very first episode last year where they kicked the person off before they danced. It was my dance, and Brittany got kicked off, and she had to do my happy fun library number with tears running down her face. And they cut that after 1 week because there was such outrage from the fans.
Major backlash. We were all on Twitter
we were all pissed. The choreographers were like, what? That was a bad idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, the one thing, Nigel, he does respond to a lot of his tweets and stuff like that. He takes a lot of criticism, and he responds back. We do Dancing with the Stars. None of the producers are on there, and they never respond to anything. So I will give him some credit on that.
And
tried.
They're flexible. I love that they changed it. That they were that didn't work.
We heard you. All right, from there we go into Zach Solo. I mean, what can we say about Zach? I've just said I love watching him on this journey. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up that he's a manly dancer, because I think you see that in his tap, and I guess it's got to be hard for guys. Poor guys, you have to fight that, and he does it so effortlessly, and I loved it, and I think you see it in his solo especially.
And we've talked a lot this season, particularly, I don't know why, but about some of the dancers and some of the contestants needing a little bit more maturity in their movement. They're like almost there, or they're starting to get there. I mean, and the contestants are all 18 to 21 that's
so
left.
Young the last few seasons. It's like 19 is the old ones.
Yeah, when we had Milena here, because I think she's like 24, she said she was the grandma and Serge was the grandpa, because Serge was like 26. So,
There's
and that's
a big
not
difference between 18 and 26.
Oh my gosh.
Where you are in life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting just to watch the difference in all of that. And then we go on to Jessica and a Day and this Ray Leeper jazz piece, and I didn't know what to do with this. I don't. It was a lot going on for me. Did you love the colors and the Electric Daisy Carnival outfit?
I was so glad that Ray put that on So You Think, because that is like a legitimate club look. I used to go out far younger than I should have at like Tunnel and Limelight in New York, and
now it's a bunch of like shops and Limelight. Yeah,
but that was a look, and like to see that on So You Think made me so happy. And I mean, it was done correctly. They danced it. It was fun. The visuals, but those things stretched out from her head, and she gave it. And I mean, that was just. I love when it's different. We can't do the same thing every week. Take a risk and do something different and do something crazy, and either go in a ball of flame and crash and burn,
right?
Or it hits, and like that for me I had fun watching it, and it was great.
And her green leg warmers.
I was really glad it
That's
was
a look. That's a look.
It is. I was really glad it was a jazz piece and not a hip hop piece. I thought, like, if anything, we would have seen something like that as a hip-hop piece. So I was really glad it was a jazz piece, because we really got to see them dance in between all the steps and things like that, which
over
I thought
the
was fun.
shoulder, left.
Oh, yeah.
That little side.
Bum, 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 bum. Everybody's just going off.
I want to point out that Jessica has had some of the hardest numbers this season.
Yes.
She had the West Coast Swing. She had that crazy, like, flying carpet from Tice. And, she had disco this week. She had this crazy jazz piece from Ray Leeper, and she lost all of her partners every single week for a while there. So, props to her for probably being the most adaptable dancer this entire season.
Yeah. I think Jessica's, if, I don't necessarily think she'll win, since there's only one winner this season, but I mean, she's proved herself completely. And she can do crazy dances.
Because other dancers probably would have crumbled under, like, I keep losing my partner, and like this is happening.
Or like being able to adapt to different styles like this, and like doing what did he call it, like a Tokyo club jazz piece, I think is
Tokyo
really
rave,
tough.
like,
yeah.
It was a hard piece too. I mean, that was like really technically difficult and challenging, and they were so in sync. And
I was wondering if those things on her feet were heavy, or what kinds of shoes she was wearing, because or maybe it was just the dance was so hard. Like, I saw tiny moments of her being a little tired. And I was
do that after the disco.
At the disco, come on.
Right?
After being up to shoot group, their call time's 4:30 a.m. on show day. They're like,
What?
that's what the deal is. That's
People
don't know our
insanity.
rehearsals when you see them on camera are sometimes 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m. I was on camera this morning at 7 a.m. When we have our private rehearsal, it's a 6 a.m. call, and then they take a little break, and then they do their next one. So
And they had 4 numbers this week. I mean, counting their solo.
and
So
finale is more. So do that.
That's crazy.
Don't
Those
be
poor
tired.
kids.
don't ever be tired. But yeah, that was an interesting one.
I was so glad she didn't have to go home in that outfit. When they were standing up there, I was like, oh, poor Jessica. I'm like, she wants to change, because you don't want to just like have everyone remember you in like a frame this close crying.
And then you're in interviews and you've got like all this crazy stuff going on.
I was just happy for her that she
Who went
didn't
home
leave
last
like that.
last season with like all this crazy makeup on?
Oh, I don't remember. Gosh, sometimes they have such crazy makeup on.
Just like, that's not how I want to be remembered.
No, you don't.
All right, we move on to Jackie's solo. What'd you think of Jackie's solo? You've been hard on Jackie, so.
Oh, I liked this one.
Okay, good.
I liked her solo.
Bold choice.
I thought it was really cute, and she was up on her blocks a lot more than she's been in her solos before. And I think with Jackie, what works for her in ballet is like playing a character and like getting to be, like giving herself a little bit more energy, and you really see her face light up, and this was my favorite solo for her, and and it's interesting because you never really see their solos have a theme.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was like, oh wow, I would keep watching your solos.
This is good.
Yeah. What do you think, Spencer?
No, I was like, get it in your little army outfit and your hat.
So
like,
cute.
do it. Like, go for it. Make a bold choice.
Also,
I'm all about bold
Why
choices.
not? And you know what's so funny?
I've seen her do her thing in her flat day, and I think so many times. But I'm like, great, put on your bugle boy hat.
It's
so
also
cute.
such a classic like dance song from like when you're 3 and
no, but I
learning
sort of had a
ballet.
feeling. I was like, you did this solo, like
competition.
I was like, that was like your competition solo like 5 years ago, and they were like, you're doing solos this week, and you made a snippet of it.
She was like, oh,
It's
man.
sort of what I felt.
Actually, I would totally believe that because it's such a classic like tap song. You usually see tappers do it.
But why not do it in point shoes?
Yeah.
You know, we got a comment last week from a viewer that was like, stop comparing Jackie to Eliana, because they said Eliana was always doing contemporary ballet and not point shoes. You need to give Jackie some credit for strapping on her point shoes each and every week.
I do appreciate her and her point shoes, but use them. That's all I was saying. It was like, get on your blocks.
She used him in Travis's piece.
Yes.
She did.
Yes.
That was a pretty piece.
She in that piece, she was like a the little spin ballerinas, you know, the like jewelry box ones.
Yeah, music box.
Like he really had her
With
like that was
Keon.
beautiful. Yeah.
That's
and Keon's
hard.
Prince Charming, so
He certainly
he
is.
can do no wrong.
I know, that was a week we all did. I'd like to connect with Keon. It went in a whole wrong direction with everyone because I think we had Nick Lazzarini and Jamie Goodwin in
gosh.
studio, and so it went left. It went south really quickly.
I love it. Jamie's another one. I asked for her to be my all-star because she's so good at Broadway. I've hired her for like outside. She did the Emmys for me. She did the Oscars.
Yep.
She's so good at my style, but they'll never let her not be like contemporary
Contemporary.
dancer. But she's so good.
She's good at everything she does. I love her. She's a beautiful dancer. And then we get to Ricky and Anya, another Jean-Marc Genero, cha-cha.
I was really, again, impressed with Ricky, and I think this was probably the one moment where you were like, oh, Ricky might not do so good.
What? I knew he.
You knew he would?
This. Come on.
I had a thought of like, oh, can he really like be the man Anya like needs to be her partner? And yeah, he did it.
I thought it was gonna be a flashback to the Kent and Anya number. Do you remember that number? Like it was like
Yes.
Kesha's This Kiss or whatever, and it was like naughty school teacher and little boy kind of thing.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, that's what we'll get, and it'll be fun. But he like manned up and he partnered her, and he had every little thing, including those little. Like that little cha-cha head, that little pause. I'm like, that is, he gets the details. That's what Ricky does. He like every little detail he'll do. But it was so good. Like his.
And I love that Jean-Marc choreographed it that way too, and didn't go for the obvious of like, because Anya's so womanly, and then just be like, okay, we'll have Ricky like chasing after her. I think that was super
He
smart.
needed that moment.
Yeah. I agree with you. Because I was like, he is very manly. And, Latin heels are not easy for men. Because they cheated all the time on Dance with the Stars. They're like, they start rehearsing them in them, and then the celebs like, oh, they hurt. And then they just put them in like sneakers, and you're like, And then people complain, like ballroom purists. And I agree. I'm like, you know what? Do it. Go for it.
Yeah. No, and I think it sounds like someone like Ricky would be like, want to have, do exactly what you're supposed to do, because of course that helps. That gives you that extra little thing you need. And
He needs the height. He's a shorter.
oh yeah, well,
True.
and
How tall is he in real life? Because we only see the TV. He looks shorter. I mean, we see him next to Kat, who's in
No,
heels.
I would say probably 5'7".
Oh. Okay.
Like Valerie's taller than him. Like almost as tall as him. In heels, Valerie was taller than him.
Okay. Good
In
to
my
know.
number side by side.
Yeah. It's just, you never know. It's always, it's hard to tell. I'm 5'3", so everyone's taller than me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and then when you're next to Kat's tall, so it's always hard to judge. She's a tall drink of water. All right, we go on next to Casey and Mackenzie doing a Stacey Tookie contemporary piece.
I loved when she climbed up his body.
The very top.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And I want to see like more types of, I don't know, it was just so cool. And I loved when they did the body weight, and they like the leverage moves.
And then he flips her over.
Yeah, and Casey did a really good job. I think this was his best number this whole season.
I think so too.
And he was so connected, and I think like you were saying, he's so young, and it shows he's really young in a lot of dances he does. But in this one, you like saw it, and you're like, that's why you're still here, and that was really cool. And I don't know if it was like something Stacey was able to bring out of him, but man, that was way to go, Casey.
Did you like this more than his Jessica contemporary?
Oh, yeah.
Which was also beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I loved this piece. I liked this one last night more.
I think he was connected more in this piece than he was in that one. And I think with Jessica being so connected in the Travis Wall one, if they're both not as connected, if he's not up to where she is, then you see it. Where in this one, I'm like, wow, he's there.
I think he dug deeper in this one.
Yeah.
And I think we all saw it and felt it. And like Christina was like trying to ask him, like, how did you feel in this moment?
She was on it.
She's been pushing people on performance all season long every time she's been on.
She should be. That's what these dancers need. That's what a lot of them were lacking. But I think that Mackenzie was my assistant when I had Catherine and Casey. So Mackenzie had worked with him for that week and had dug in with him with me to get some stuff out of him. And so they already had a connection. And I think it was helped that a week later she was dancing with him because they had they had worked together for the whole week before. But
oh, cool.
I thought it was beautiful. It was my favorite one that Stacey had done this season. I can't look at anything but Mackenzie's feet. She wings it's like she did that beautiful like arabesque off of him off the ground, and her foot is so winged and so pointed. I want close-ups.
Yeah, picture just to die for.
I have a very nice point, and we just like when she's in the room. Remember last year I had her and Jacob, who has insane feet, and me, and the three of us were like point.
He had a point off. And I wanted to point out about Mackenzie too. She's gotten better since last season too.
Yeah.
You've seen a nice maturity in her dance. A
year in the real world does a lot for these kids.
Yeah,
because she's worked and she was on tour and they gig and they grow.
And it's so great. And I love that all the season 10 dancers are super jealous that they get 70 dates for season 11 to go on tour. They're like, I just want to be on tour forever. They love that. Do you know yet if any of your numbers are going on tour?
No, we don't know until after they're done.
Late.
Mandy puts it together with the guy, this tour director, Raj Kapoor, who does a lot of, he's done the tour for the last couple of years, and they sort of decide what works well. A lot of my numbers can't go on tour because they're too prop heavy.
Yeah.
Like, remember they brought the pool table last year to do that number, but like they brought a pool table and
my gosh.
they had I think I had 3 numbers last year, but like you can't bring a swing and you can't bring that, so we'll see what they do. I bet they'll do maybe this time. I bet that'll go on tour because it's easy to do. I just wonder who will do it besides Catherine. Because they have to recast with everybody.
They do.
So.
It's always interesting who they recast because they always take someone from the top 10 or...
Yeah.
We'll find out. And then ending the night, Fiction and Zach doing a Philip Shabib, his first time choreographing on the show. This was fun. This was fun to watch because we've had Fiction here and he's such a little dynamo and it's like... His style is very tough to match. So I thought, this could be really bad. But I knew it was in the last position of the night, so I'm like, it's not going to be horrible. It's got to be something magical.
I thought it was, it seemed like such a hard number. I was really nervous for them after the package because the way that they were like setting it up, they're like, if they don't get every arm and everything right, it's not going to be a dance.
It's over.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh God, Zach, that's so scary for you. But, oh my God, Zach, jeez, man. He can get everything. And I thought he totally matched Fiction. And I wasn't watching Fiction more than I was watching Zach, which I think is really tough. And Zach brought just enough charisma without being over the top. So he was still in that cool style. And gosh, it was really, really great. It was really fun to watch.
It's brilliant. It was shot beautifully, lit beautifully.
Yes.
Everything about it was brilliant and amazing. One of my favorite things this season. That was an incredible premiere. Now, he got like 2 amazing people to do that number on. That number would not have been the same with Casey or Ricky or some of the other... Zach actually is a great hip-hop dancer.
He's so versatile.
So he was so excited to do that. I had high hopes for it, and it exceeded mine. It was beautiful.
That's a finale number.
Yes, they will redo that one. Yes.
Yeah, I bet that.
But again,
too.
you can't do that on tour without Fiction.
Yeah.
But it was so good.
It was so good, and I hope Philip is really proud because it's a big deal to get on as a choreographer, and especially I'm sure for some of them that have been contestants on the show to come back in a different capacity.
He was funny. He was sitting next to me, and he's like, I didn't know that it was this hard being on this side. They all say that. Like, when you work with them all, when they all come and assist you, like, in the years past, and they're like, I never even thought that you guys were nervous. It's like, of course we're nervous for you. We have no control. Our names are on the line. We put our necks out to do these things. Like, it's so crazy to sit out there. But he had to keep getting up between commercial breaks. And when you're all the way at the end, too, you're like, you sit there for an hour and a half, and you're like, oh my God. It was so good this week to go first and be like, all right, that went well. Woo, I'm done.
You're like, got it out of the way. You will be back for the finale.
Yes, I think we're allowed
the performance
to say that.
finale.
Yes, the performance finale. I will be back on.
You don't have to say who you're working with because you're not allowed
to say that. But I am
we know you're rehearsing,
and we're rehearsing, and it's going to be an amazing finale. I'm happy to be back and be part of it.
Yay!
I've done this my 4th week in a row now. I'll need a nap afterward.
I know, because you're working on so many other things. I know you're working with Deaf West.
Yeah, right now I'm in rehearsal. Actually, I run back there right now. Doing this amazing production of Spring Awakening for Deaf West, which is a theater company that combines hearing actors and deaf actors. So the entire show is signed. It is a beautiful challenge working with dancers that can't hear the music and finding the internal rhythm within your company. And it's quite amazing. They have had productions on Broadway of Pippin. They won the Tony for Big River. We open here. It's downtown in LA. We open, I believe, September 23rd. You can get your tickets at deafwest.org. It is a gorgeous, interesting piece of theater to see. So go do that. And then I leave to go to Connecticut to do a brand new world premiere of a show called Circus in Winter at Goodspeed.
Oh, at Goodspeed. Cool. Fantastic. And Hedwig is still running on Broadway, of course.
And Hedwig on Broadway, which
the Tony Award-winning Hedwig.
We won the Tony for Best Revival, and Neil won the Tony, and our Lena won the Tony, and
Lena Hall is fantastic. She's to die for. I saw her in Kinky Boots last year too. So
she's amazing. But we had a great time with that. We just had Andrew Reynolds went in to replace Neil last night. Was his first show. So please go check out Hedwig in New York. It is an incredible show. And
it's 90 minutes, like nonstop. That's what's incredible about it.
Yeah.
In and out rock show. If you've seen the movie and you've never seen it done on stage, how it originally was done, it's really cool. I'm very proud of it. My first Broadway show.
Congratulations. And I do want to say that you knew about it the last time you were here and then you couldn't say or anything. And then
she guessed it.
I guessed it. I sent him a DM on Twitter and I was like, is it Hedwig? And he was like, yes, and don't tell anyone. And I wouldn't. I remember, and I said, I guessed it. And they're like, what is it? I'm like, I can't say.
I bothered her for so long. I tried so many other guesses, and she wouldn't tell me.
So I just want you to know I kept your secret.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next week on the show, Jesse Tyler Ferguson is back for a judge, which is kind of fun. Robert, Catherine, and Aaron. So guess who's doing a tap number if Aaron's back?
I hope it's all of them tap number.
All the tappers.
Three.
Team Tap will hopefully be back and everything else. Did everyone see the Taylor Swift video? Because there's a lot of So You Think You Can Dance people in there.
Yeah.
I think
Tice did it, I think.
Tice Diorio choreographed, and Melissa Sandvig was in it. Fiction was in it. Philip Shabib was in it. Ricky from season 6 and Legacy. So if you haven't seen that, be sure to check that out.
It's a good time. It's a catchy song.
It is a good time. And then you and I are doing the dance walk on September 13th with Courtney Galliano.
Yes.
So for MS.
Sign up, guys.
Sign up. Anyone in Southern California wants to join the AfterBuzz TV, you're welcome. Courtney's not going to be able to reschedule to come on. She's busy. She's booked all the way through. So we just wanted to mention that. And what I love is all the votes from this week and next week will determine the winner for the final week.
I like that a lot.
It was Ricky pointed out to me today, because on the finale you want to vote for everyone. I've worked with all of them, but because the votes counted for last week and this week, at some point I will have now done a number for everybody, so I get to root for everyone and be happy for whoever wins.
Whoever wins.
But it's always fun for us in finale when you've had everyone at some point, because you have a little piece of their journey.
Oh,
that's so awesome. I know, and it's been a really unique season. They haven't been picked up for season 12, so I hope that everyone continues to watch, because it's kind of last year at this time we knew that there was going to be a season 11.
I don't think we did.
They picked up in the middle of the summer.
I don't remember hearing that, but we have not been this year, and I believe all of us are going about it as if this is it. Just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. We're getting it all out there.
Yeah, Fox said that they would make a decision at the end of the year, so I think that's
Fox.
I know.
We made it 11 years of this is it.
For a dance show, that's pretty awesome.
I hope it's not the end. Just to let everyone know, because we haven't announced it, but he did confirm today 100%. Dave Scott will be here in studio next week. We're really excited to have him. So we're trying to focus more on choreography too. I just think that it's kind of interesting to hear from the choreographers and what your experiences are. We've only had you, and now we've had Mandy, and now we'll have Dave. So we get a little slice of the pie from everyone, which is good. One thing I do want to ask one thing before we wrap up. I am going to ask you about the Milena piece because we loved it here.
Yeah.
We loved the concept and everything else. For you, what was it like working on that?
To be quick about it, that was a concept that I'd had in my head for a while. I saw it. I knew everything I wanted to do. It was top 20, so you don't know the dancers yet. You don't know who you're going to get. It was their first week together. I got the absolute wrong dancers for that piece, but unfortunately you are locked into your piece before, and you haven't learned enough about the dancers to know anything about them. Individually, those dancers are incredible and amazing. They were the most mismatched couple. Like, everything that he was good at, she couldn't do, and everything that she was good at, he couldn't do. So, and that number was supposed to be perfectly synced in unison to me, and it was all about legs and the tricks. I had so many things to do with those phone chords, but she self-admittedly doesn't have the legs, but gives you performance and body for days.
Gorgeous.
And he has legs for days, but couldn't, needed to man up a little bit. And because he was doing all the steps perfectly, my focus went to her to try to bring her up dance-wise, but then in the end, she's the one who actually pulled up performance and, did everything. It pops up the number, and then I look back at him, and I'm like, I could have helped so much more tweaking him, but it's sort of, you only have the time you have. I tried a lot of things with them, and in the end, that was the best that they were going to dance, what I gave them. I thought it was entertaining. I shot it as best as I could. We styled it as best we could. I fell in love with both of them by the end of the week. I've never seen... Milena was the most... she was like, can I have key words? Like, give me words to think about, like, dance. Like, what does this mean? And never had anybody really ask me those things. So I was very sad that it didn't go better for them. I felt very guilty and like I really screwed up for them. But
Milena had great things to say about you when she was here probably about 4 weeks ago, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And she had great things to say about you and about the piece and everything else. And
you'll remember that piece. Like,
no, we do. We talked a lot about it.
Well,
so
I'm wondering, do you guys as choreographers ever sort of test ideas? I mean, for you work, so like we might see that, we might see something that you were testing on this show on Broadway or on a stage somewhere else. Like, I'm always wondering, like, because you guys have such a big stage to sort of show your work on, are you ever like, I want to show the world, like, this really funky, cool thing that I can do? Because everybody knows that, like, yeah, you're like the king of these amazing, huge Broadway numbers, like, that are so classic. And, like, I mean, that pool dance, I don't think we'll ever forget it. It was so cool. But, yeah, do you guys ever sort of test things out on that stage?
That was one that, that was a strange idea that I was like, I'm going to go for it. Like I said, I went all in for that.
Yeah.
And that would either have been a wow moment for them or for some other dancers, or it would have bombed. But, we don't have time. I don't have a company or have a place where I develop work before I do it on the show. What you're getting on the show has never been done anywhere before, in my mind.
does then Fox own it?
Yeah, they own our work.
They own our work, so yeah, you can't like go off and do that same number elsewhere, can you? Or a version of it?
I think like Travis takes his pieces and does things in Shaping Sound, but
Yeah.
they own the work if they want to put it on tour, or they go it's theirs then. But yeah, I like to take the risk. I'm not going to do. If you look at my body of work on the show, their numbers aren't similar. Like, everything looks very different and it has a different vibe, and that's what keeps me creative. As you get later in the season, I can pinpoint the numbers I want for the dancers you get, but but early on you're shooting blind,
Interesting.
All right.
If there's ever a Mad Men musical, I want to see that dance in there.
Yeah, that's exactly. Because, if they're going to do True Blood on Broadway, why not Mad Men?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we do have to wrap up because we need to get you
I gotta
back
go
to rehearsal. Spencer, thank you so much for coming again. You're one of our favorite guests.
Yay.
I know we love you so much.
Always happy to be here, ladies.
And I'm so happy for all of your success, honestly. I hope you feel it. All the love from us
Thank you.
here at
And you too.
AfterBuzz.
I'm glad the show's going so well.
Yes, thank you. Tell us where we can find you everywhere online.
I am at Spencer Liff on Twitter. I am Spencer Liff on Instagram. I think that's it. I'm like trying to get better at Twitter, but you can tweet me. I do like it. I like read the tweets after the numbers, and I like when people say nice things.
All right, Chloe, where can I find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Chloe West X.
And I'm at Kristyn Burtt on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, the Kristyn Burtt. We'll see y'all next week with Dave Scott. Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.